Today I'm going to show you how I make these herb markers and veggie markers. You could do whatever you wanted. These are a pretty simple design. There's all different designs out there. Mine are just like a stick, like you might find the wooden sticks, but these are made out of clay. And I stamp in the name of the herb or vegetable, and I have a pointy end on the other end. So I know everybody cares about measurements, so I'm going to show you what measurements I have, and then you can translate that into the shrinkage rate for your clay. So these are about 3/4 wide. They're about a little less than 1/4 of an inch in thickness, and they are about 5.5 inches long. Now this is just what I did. This is no science to this. You could make them any size that you wanted. These are just the size I ended up with. So the way I'm doing this is I've rolled out a slab that it's a little less than 1/4 inch thick, and I have a 1/4 inch stick that is just a little bit, I use this to roll out slab. It's just a little bit wider than 3/4 of an inch. So it's perfect for this because it should shrink to about what I wanted. So I like, when I do anything, I tend to do a lot at a time. So I'm going to show you how I would do this, but you obviously can just make 5 if that's all you want. So I'm put the stick down, and I'm just going to cut out a bunch of these. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. This is not a, this is not the kind of thing that's got to fit together or anything like that. This is just the sizing that I came up with. And you can do this a few different ways. I mean, whatever way works for you to cut out the markers. This just happens to be the piece of clay I had was a long piece, so I figured I would do it like this. Okay, almost there. And I like, as I said, I like to do a bunch of stuff at one time. Making multiples. 1, I learn from it. And 2, I don't know, it's just fun. Okay. All right. Whoops. Now we have to do the other measurement. So this is the 1/4 inch long, and now we need the width. Now, the length. Now I have here a shrink ruler, and my clay shrinks about 14%. So I'm going to use that to figure out the 5.5 inch. Well, first let's do a straight edge here at the top. So we start with a straight. Ooh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Whoops. Hold that down. So I'm going to try not to pull as much as I did that first time. Okay, so now we have a relatively straight. Okay, so now using that, I can go with my shrink ruler and make sure you're on the right side. This is the 14%. My clay shrinks 13.9%, I think. That's what it says. So, so to get a 5.5, I just mark it at 5.5 on the shrink ruler. 5.5. And in case you don't have a shrink ruler, I can show you, and your clay is also 14%. This would be, on a regular ruler, about 6.25, just a little bit more than 6.25 inches on a regular ruler. So let's do the next one. 5.5 here. And it's always a good idea to do 2 marks to try to make it as straight as possible. But again, not really that big a deal. These are not things that have to be exact. It's just that it's nice to be consistent. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut. Let's see if I can hold this down. Okay, 1. So now you can see I'm going to end up with 15 of these, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to show you how I do all 15 because I think that would be pretty boring to watch, but we'll do one. And then here. And this clay is, the slab has been drying out for a bit, so there's a bit of stiffness to it. So you can see it's still floppy, but it does have some stiffness, which I like working with it at this point. All right, so let's move this over, and I'm just going to take one, because really you don't need to see me do all of them. So I'm going to smooth the edges a little bit and do that on both sides. Oh, and I forgot to say, with every slab, you know, you should prepare it the way you would for all slab work, where you need to compress the slab on both sides, which I did do before I started this process. So then we have to think about the point. So I like to go, like, if you figure out where the middle is of the stick, and then just go at a, I don't know, what angle do you call that? Is that a 45-degree angle? I'm terrible with that. You just make that point there. Okay. So now we have the point. And if you're going to stamp, if you're going to put any kind of a stamped signature on the back of this, you should do it now. So I'm going to do that with mine. So I have this stamp that I got from claystamps.com. It's metal. It's great. I actually have 2 of them, just so that I have, you know, just in case, because don't we all misplace things all the time. So smooth out the edges. And now we have to figure out what we're going to put on this one. So I need to go get my stamps. So hold on a second. So I have 2 different sets of stamps. I got these on Amazon in this nice little box. I really like them. And they are, I don't remember, but they're just alphabet stamps. And they're wooden. And they've got a little rubber thing on the end of them, you know, and you can see the writing on one side. And then I have these other stamps from Sim, and these are really good too. So today I'm going to use these wooden ones. I don't, just because I'm missing the I in the Sim ones, and so it's just easier to use the wooden ones. So I'm going to do basil, B-A-S, where are they? S-I-L. Yeah. And where's the L? Here it is. Okay. Yeah. That's annoying. They don't like to come out that easily. Okay, now, the most important thing when doing this is remembering which direction the letters are in. Because if you just look at the letter like this and turn it around, and you're not paying attention to the way it looks like on the top, you end up with a backwards B. So you really got to pay attention to the display. So what I like to do is I'm going to do a little bit of decoration at the very top. So I'm going to start off with giving a little bit of space. So I've got my B, which I did not press in hard enough. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, let's try that again. All right, we have a B, and then the A. Now you could be really perfect about lining this up, but I like the kind of randomness of it. S, the I, and the L. Ooh, careful with that one. I've done that one backwards too. And then I like to put a little bit of decoration on. So in this case, I'm going to use one of my bisque stamps. I actually have a video on how I make bisque stamps if you're interested in checking it out. And I'm just going to put a little bit of texture. And there you go. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple. If you want to do a lot of these at one time, it's fun. You can, I like to do, when I'm doing it, I tend to do the same step, meaning I'll do all the angle cuts, or I'll cut out all the pieces, and then I'll do all the stamping. And I'm less likely to make a mistake if I do that. The other thing I want to tell you is how I glaze them. So I like to take, this is porcelain, so I like to take underglaze and fill in the decoration and the words, and then wipe it back so it leaves some of the green behind. And then I just dip it in clear on the front, and a little bit, actually, and I might even brush the clear on depending on my mood of the day. And then I leave the back blank, but I do put some of the underglaze on the black also. Anyway, this is a pretty simple project and a fun thing to do this time of year when we're all thinking about planting. And I guess that's all. So I guess that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Oops, sorry, that was my chair. So there are a couple of things I forgot to tell you. The first thing is I lay these all out on drywall board, which you don't have to do, but you do want to put it between two boards to like this to keep them from warping, and let them dry like that slowly. And you can cover it with plastic or not. It's up to you. I would just leave them like this. And then the other thing is, you don't have to use just underglazes to glaze them. Just because that's what I did this particular time doesn't mean that's what you have to do. You could use any glaze that highlights the texture, because you don't want to lose that. So, you know, there are some great celadons out there that would work. And that would be, you know, a fun thing. You could combine underglaze in the lettering and then put a celadon color over it, not just clear. There's all kinds of possibilities, but you just want to make sure you use something that doesn't, you know, that highlights all your texture after all that work. So I guess that's it, I think, and I'll see you next time.